Hello everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to kick off this presentation on the crucial topic of global food security. Today, we'll explore the challenges we face in ensuring that everyone has access to nutritious and sustainable food. We'll look at the key factors affecting food production, distribution, and consumption around the world. So, let's get started and dive into this important issue. Mustafa Koch's analysis highlights how these various factors have collectively pushed the limits of our economic, social, and ecological sustainability. This, in turn, raises some really important questions about whether our planet can continue to provide enough food for everyone. Despite all the advances we've made in agricultural and distribution technologies, the harsh reality remains that hunger and malnutrition still affect millions of lives around the world. This is a pressing global challenge that goes beyond borders and impacts many aspects of human well-being. In recent years, the issue of global food security has gained a lot of attention. This is largely due to the complex interplay of demographic shifts, economic growth, and ecological concerns. These factors together have stretched the boundaries of what our planet can sustain, making it crucial for us to understand and address these challenges comprehensively. Even in advanced economies, food insecurity is still a significant issue. Despite having plenty of food available, millions of people rely on food banks just to get by. This really highlights a paradox. There's an abundance of food, yet many individuals are still deprived of basic nourishment. When we look at developed nations, the reality is that hunger and malnutrition continue to affect vulnerable groups the most, such as women, children, and the elderly. It's a stark reminder that economic development doesn't automatically solve food security problems for everyone. At the same time, technology has brought remarkable advancements in agriculture, from improved farming techniques to streamlined supply chains. These innovations have revolutionized how we produce and distribute food globally. Yet, despite these technological strides, a large portion of the world's population still faces hunger and insecurity. It shows us that technological progress alone isn't enough. We need comprehensive solutions that address access, equity, and distribution. Overall, this underscores the complexity of food security, especially when we consider the global context. It's a reminder that even in the most advanced economies, food insecurity persists, and that addressing this challenge requires a holistic approach that combines technology, policy, and social support. When we talk about the dimensions of food security, it's essential to recognize that food is not just about nutrition, but also about culture and social context. Acceptability is a key point here. It means providing food that is culturally appropriate and acceptable within a specific context. This ensures that the food we offer aligns with local customs, traditions, and preferences. Next, we have adequacy, which focuses on making sure that the food supplied meets the dietary needs of the population. This includes considering the right quantity, quality, and diversity, so people receive balanced and nourishing options. Accessibility is about ensuring that everyone can obtain enough food. This isn't just about physical access, but also economic ability, whether through income, social safety nets, or other means, so that no one is left hungry because they can't afford or reach the food they need. Finally, availability refers to the consistent presence of sufficient, nutritious, and culturally appropriate food in the market or community. It's about having the right food in the right place at the right time. All of these dimensions are interconnected and crucial for achieving true food security. They remind us that food security isn't just about having enough food, but about ensuring that it is suitable, accessible, and sustainable within the specific social and cultural context. Bridging the gap between surplus and scarcity really requires a comprehensive approach. It's not just about government policies, but also about actively involving all stakeholders: farmers, communities, private sector, everyone. When we talk about bridging this gap, we need to design policy frameworks that don't just focus on the amount of food produced, but also on the nutritional quality of that food. Food security isn't just about preventing hunger. It's about ensuring people have access to nutritious, healthy food that supports their well-being. To make this happen, we also need to harness technological innovation. This isn't just about increasing yields, it's about making sure that nutritious food reaches everyone, regardless of where they are. Innovation can help us improve distribution systems, reduce waste, and create a more equitable access to healthy foods. All of these points tie back to the bigger goal of addressing global food security. It's about creating a balanced, inclusive system that nourishes populations today and secures resources for future generations. By June 2022, there were approximately 345 million people suffering from acute food insecurity across 82 nations. To put that into perspective, that's a significant increase from about 135 million in 2019. This sharp rise highlights how fragile global food systems have become over the past few years. The main drivers behind this surge include disruptions in supply chains, which have made it harder to get food where it's needed. Additionally, the ongoing economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic have worsened affordability and access. And of course, the conflict in Ukraine has played a major role, driving up food prices to levels we've never seen before. All of these factors are interconnected, and they underscore the urgent need to address both food security and climate change, as climate impacts are only going to deepen these vulnerabilities. This slide really highlights how complex and pressing the issue is, and it ties into our overall theme of understanding how climate change is exacerbating global challenges. Let's take a closer look at the impacts of climate change on food security, which are quite complex and multifaceted. Climate change threatens not just the availability of food, but also how easily people can access it, as well as the overall stability of food supplies around the world. Addressing these issues isn't something any single country can do alone. It calls for a comprehensive, global effort to build resilience and adapt to these changing conditions. One of the key factors contributing to increased food insecurity is rising food prices. In fact, in 2021, nearly 30 million more people in low-income countries experienced food insecurity, and a big part of that was due to food commodity prices going up. This kind of price volatility makes it much harder for vulnerable populations to afford nutritious food consistently. Now, a significant driver behind this rise in food prices and insecurity is the impact of climate change itself. Changes in weather patterns, like heat waves, heavy rains, and droughts, are becoming more frequent and intense due to global warming. These extreme weather events can devastate crop yields, disrupt planting and harvesting cycles, and ultimately reduce the amount of food available. So, as we consider the overall impact of climate change on food security, it's clear that the challenges are interconnected. From rising prices to extreme weather events, each aspect feeds into the other, highlighting why a coordinated global response is essential to protect our food systems now and in the future. The reliance on intensive agriculture, heavy use of chemical fertilizers, and unsustainable farming methods have really taken a toll on our planet. Addressing the environmental footprint of the global food system is absolutely crucial if we want to tackle the broader challenge of food security and build a sustainable future. A big part of the global food security issue actually comes from how food is now produced. Recent estimates show that our current food system is the main driver behind methane emissions and biodiversity loss. In fact, it accounts for around 1/3 of all greenhouse gas emissions, making it second only to the energy sector in terms of impact. This really highlights just how significant the environmental impact of our current food production practices is. It's a reminder that to improve food security, we also need to address these environmental concerns. Because ultimately, a more sustainable food system is key to protecting our planet and ensuring that everyone has access to food in the future. Rises in food prices tend to hit urban poor customers the hardest, mainly because farmers in these regions often live on the edge of poverty. When food becomes more expensive, it directly impacts those who are already struggling to make ends meet. Now, looking at the broader picture, millions more people could fall into poverty due to catastrophic droughts caused by climate change or weather patterns like El Niño. This is a global issue that can affect even more developed countries, such as the Philippines and Vietnam, highlighting how widespread and serious this problem is. Focusing on vulnerable populations, it's important to understand that about 80% of the world's population lives in regions like Sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, and Southeast Asia. In these areas, farmers are especially vulnerable because crop failures and famine, often driven by climate change, push many into deeper poverty. So overall, the impact of climate change on food security disproportionately affects those who are already vulnerable. This connection underscores the urgent need for targeted solutions to protect these populations and ensure resilience against climate-related shocks. As temperatures continue to rise and weather patterns become more unpredictable, we can expect a higher prevalence of pests and diseases that threaten our crops. This means farmers will need to implement more intensive pest management strategies, which could ultimately reduce overall agricultural productivity. At the same time, we're seeing an increase in extreme weather events like floods and severe storms. These events can devastate crop yields and cause significant damage to agricultural infrastructure, disrupting food production and supply chains, especially in the most vulnerable areas. Furthermore, climate change is putting additional pressure on regions already facing water scarcity. As water resources decline, it becomes increasingly difficult for farmers to maintain sustainable water supplies for their crops. All these factors are interconnected and highlight how climate change can significantly impact our ability to produce food efficiently and sustainably. As temperatures continue to rise, it becomes increasingly difficult and costly to adapt to the changing climate. This is especially true once global temperatures increase by about 2 degrees Celsius on average. At that point, the challenges become much more severe. For example, falling crop yields will lead to more people living in poverty, and if we don't find solutions, by 2030, an estimated 43 million people in Africa alone could be below the poverty line. This highlights how climate change directly impacts vulnerable populations. Rising temperatures can have an immediate effect on crops like wheat, which are less heat-resistant, particularly in regions such as South Asia and the Sahel belt of Africa, where temperatures are already very high. Overall, these points emphasize the urgency of addressing climate change now, before the impacts become even more severe and harder to manage. It's a clear call to action to protect both our environment and the people most at risk. It's possible to reduce emissions and become more resilient, but as we all know, achieving this often requires significant social, economic, and technological changes. These are big shifts, but necessary ones if we want to make a real impact. Now, when it comes to addressing the global food crisis, there are a few key strategies that stand out. These strategies are critical because they help us tackle the root causes while also improving our ability to adapt to changing conditions. Throughout this presentation, we've emphasized the importance of integrated solutions, and these strategies fit right into that theme. They're about making deliberate, informed choices to ensure food security for everyone. By focusing on these approaches, we can not only reduce emissions, but also build a more resilient food system that can withstand future challenges. So, let's explore these strategies in more detail. In addition to making supply-side improvements, it's equally important to focus on managing water demand through effective policies. This means implementing advanced water accounting systems and technologies that help us better assess our available water resources. By doing so, we can promote more efficient water use across various sectors, especially agriculture. One key technique I want to highlight is demand-side management, like using methods such as alternate wetting and drying of rice paddies. This approach not only conserves water, but also helps reduce methane emissions, which is a big win for the environment. When combined with improved water accounting, these practices enable us to use water more efficiently and sustainably in agricultural production. Another point to consider is that simply building more irrigation infrastructure might not be a sustainable solution if future water supplies are limited. Instead, we need to focus on better management of existing water demand. That includes using advanced technologies like soil moisture sensors and satellite evapotranspiration measurements to accurately assess how much water is actually available. Overall, improving irrigation efficiency and using water sources more effectively are crucial steps. By integrating these demand management strategies, we're moving toward a more sustainable and resilient water management system that supports both agricultural productivity and environmental health. Transitioning to less water-intensive crops can be a very effective strategy, but it's not without its challenges. One of the main hurdles is overcoming cultural and social barriers to adoption. For thousands of years, rice has been a staple food and an integral part of many cultures. So, convincing communities to switch to another crop isn't just a matter of economics or environmental benefits. It's also about changing deeply rooted traditions and practices. When we talk about cultural challenges, it's important to recognize that rice isn't just a crop. It's part of the cultural identity for many people. That makes the idea of switching to crops like maize or legumes more complex than simply offering a better alternative. We need to find ways to respect these traditions while also promoting sustainable practices. Switching to crops that require less water, such as maize or legumes, can significantly help reduce methane emissions, since rice paddies are a major source of these emissions. This switch isn't just good for the environment. It can also improve water use efficiency and reduce the strain on local water resources. Overall, encouraging farmers to adopt these alternatives involves understanding and addressing cultural sensitivities, providing education, and demonstrating the long-term benefits. It's about blending tradition with innovation to move toward a more sustainable agricultural future. Farmers have a powerful role in restoring carbon that's been lost from the soil. One effective way to do this is by avoiding tilling the soil, which can disturb its structure. Instead, using cover crops, especially those with large roots, can help rebuild carbon levels. Incorporating these into crop rotation cycles, rather than leaving fields fallow, can really make a difference. These nature-based solutions are not just about improving soil. They can contribute significantly to tackling climate change. In fact, they could deliver up to 37% of the necessary mitigation to meet the goals set by the Paris Agreement. Increasing organic carbon in the soil enhances its ability to retain water, which means plants can access water more easily. This improves resilience to drought conditions, which are becoming more frequent with climate change. Additionally, higher organic carbon means more nutrients are available naturally, reducing the need for chemical fertilizers. Since chemical fertilizers are a major source of greenhouse gas emissions, this shift can have a big environmental impact. So, by focusing on improving soil health through increasing organic carbon, farmers aren't just supporting their crops, they're also contributing to a healthier planet. The bank also plays a vital role in helping countries address food loss and waste, which is a significant challenge for global food security. By tackling these issues, we can ensure that more food reaches those in need rather than being wasted. Additionally, the bank supports managing flood and drought risks, which are increasingly severe due to climate change. These efforts are essential for building resilient food systems and promoting sustainability. Moving on to our focus on food loss and waste, the World Bank Group's Climate Change Action Plan for 2021 to 2025 emphasizes stepping up support for climate-smart agriculture. This means adopting innovative policies and technologies throughout the entire agriculture and food value chain. The goal is to boost productivity, enhance resilience to climate impacts, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. Climate-smart agriculture is a key concept here. It's about making our farming practices more sustainable and adaptable to changing climate conditions. The World Bank Group's initiatives in this area are crucial for ensuring long-term food security while also contributing to global climate goals. All of these efforts tie back to our overarching theme: building resilient, sustainable food systems for the future. To achieve enduring self-reliance at both the national and household levels, initiatives must be rooted in a set of core principles. These principles include economic viability, which ensures that efforts are sustainable and financially feasible. Equity is also crucial, as it guarantees fair access and opportunities for all members of society. Inclusive engagement means involving diverse groups in decision-making processes, fostering a sense of ownership and shared responsibility. Lastly, responsible utilization of natural resources is essential for long-term sustainability, ensuring we meet current needs without compromising the ability of future generations to do the same. In the context of food security, the Food and Agriculture Organization, or FAO, emphasizes 4 key components. These components are critical because they provide a holistic understanding of what it truly means to be food secure. By focusing on these pillars, we can develop strategies that are comprehensive, effective, and sustainable. So, when we talk about self-reliance and food security, it's about more than just producing enough food. It's about creating resilient systems that are equitable, inclusive, and environmentally responsible. This approach ties back to our overall goal of building a sustainable future for our communities and our nations. Historically, providing an adequate and consistent food supply for everyone has been a major challenge. It's clear that we need to shift our focus towards sustainable practices, those that strike a balance between increasing food production and protecting our environment. When we talk about sustainable practices, it's really about pairing the drive to ensure food availability with a strong commitment to ecological stewardship. We must recognize that the methods we use to produce food should work in harmony with nature, not against it, to make sure future generations can also meet their needs. Now, technological advancements and scientific breakthroughs have definitely played a big role in boosting production efficiency and achieving economies of scale. They've helped us produce more food faster and more cost-effectively. But here, the key point, most of these efforts have been focused on quantity, on maximizing output. What's often overlooked is the long-term sustainability of these practices. If we don't consider their environmental impact, we risk compromising the very resources we depend on. So, when we think about availability, it's not just about producing enough food today. It's about nurturing sustainable food supplies that will support healthy populations and resilient ecosystems well into the future. That's the challenge and the opportunity we face as we move forward. Achieving true accessibility means we need to go beyond surface solutions and really work to dismantle the systemic barriers that prevent equitable access to food. This requires a comprehensive approach that targets the root causes of food insecurity, ensuring that everyone has a fair chance to access nutritious food. While emergency food aid efforts are important, they can provide immediate relief. They often fall short when it comes to addressing the structural issues that create these disparities in the first place. They're essential, but not enough on their own. Now, equity in food access is a fundamental part of food security. Unfortunately, disparities across different societies continue to persist, often rooted in systemic issues. Factors like socioeconomic status, gender, ethnicity, race, and age all play significant roles in perpetuating these inequalities. So, when we talk about systemic disparities, we need to focus on accessibility, making sure that everyone, regardless of their background or circumstances, can access the food they need. Addressing these issues is crucial because without equitable access, we can't truly say we've achieved food security for everyone. This connects directly to the overall goal of creating a more inclusive and fair food system for all. Recognizing the cultural and social dimensions of food is absolutely crucial when we talk about addressing global food security challenges. A holistic approach means more than just focusing on supply and demand. It's about respecting local traditions and preferences, which can actually lead to more sustainable and equitable solutions in the long run. When we consider these cultural aspects, we're acknowledging that food isn't just about nourishment. It's also about identity, community, and values. This dimension emphasizes the importance of understanding the symbolic role food plays in people's lives, and how integrating food-related information and innovations must be tailored to each nation's unique context. We need to think about ecological concerns and cultural sensibilities to create solutions that are truly effective and respectful. Food and food practices are deeply rooted in human culture, health, and well-being, and efforts that ignore this often fall short. When we provide food without acknowledging the social and cultural significance of dietary habits, we miss a vital part of the puzzle. Recognizing these dimensions helps us develop approaches that are not only sustainable, but also culturally acceptable and meaningful for communities worldwide. Achieving a sustainable and equitable food system truly requires a collective effort. Governments, civil society, academia, and private entities all have a role to play in aligning their initiatives with these core principles. It's crucial that we respect cultural nuances and community preferences when implementing food-related solutions, because what works in one context might not be suitable in another. When we talk about balancing conservation principles with development, it's about integrating environmental preservation into every step of progress. Technological innovation should not just aim to increase output, but also prioritize protecting our environment. Similarly, policy frameworks need to address systemic inequalities to ensure fair and equitable access to food and resources for everyone. A comprehensive approach to food security means looking at the entire food system, from how food is produced and distributed to how it's consumed and waste is managed. We must meet immediate needs while also safeguarding the ability of future generations to meet their own. Ultimately, this balance between needs and resources is what will enable us to build resilient, sustainable food systems that serve all people, now and in the future. Safeguarding global food security is more than just a practical necessity. It's a moral imperative that requires all of our attention and collective action. Together, we have the power to create a world where access to nourishing food is a fundamental right, not just a privilege reserved for some. When we talk about weaving a tapestry of well-being, we're emphasizing the importance of integrating economic viability, equity, inclusive participation, and ecological mindfulness into our efforts. These elements are essential to building a future where food security is seamlessly woven into the fabric of human well-being and sustainability. Focusing on economic viability and equity means recognizing that addressing food security isn't just about responding to immediate challenges. It's about committing to a long-term vision, one where every person, regardless of their background or circumstances, can enjoy reliable access to healthy, nourishing food. This approach ensures that we're not only solving problems today, but also cultivating a sustainable future, one that supports resilience, fairness, and shared prosperity. In conclusion, safeguarding global food security is a collective responsibility that aligns with our broader goals of sustainability and social equity. By working together, we can turn these principles into real, lasting change for generations to come.